What's good, guys? Charles from Team COG coming at you guys here with the requested Crystron deck profile. So not much else can be said about it. You guys wanted it, and a lot of you guys wanted it, so I'm going to deliver. I'm still waiting on a few cards in the mail to get to complete some other decks and stuff like that. However, this is a 39 card main deck and a 14 card extra. The cards that we are missing is Scrap Golem and Scrap Wyvern. Golem is an $8 rare. The last time I looked on TCGPLAYER. And it's going to be a super and the new OTS, so I just didn't justify spending $8 on a rare when I could just wait and get the super. And Scrap Wyvern is just similar concept. I'm just want to buy them both instead of just having to have one or the other. So I'm just waiting on both. But I will have their pictures up here in the screen when we get to them in the deck profile. Before we continue on, guys, remember to check our sponsors down below. If you guys want any of these awesome sleeves right here, these are made by Imperium Duelist. I use their sleeves for everything. Check out the links down in the description and let them know that Team COG sent you. And then check out, if you want to support the channel, please think about coming down, becoming a member of the channel, get some awesome perks and rewards, and get like one-on-one with the team here. So I know times are rough, some people can't work, but if you do have the ability to sign up, please go ahead and sign up and get those exclusive Crusade wars. We look forward to you joining our Crusades. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into the deck profile. Not much more to say, really. I'll go ahead and explain like some of the ratios have changed, some of the stuff has changed since I think the last profile I did months ago. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. We are playing 3 Solfefnir. Solfefnir is like one of your best combo starters here. If you don't know what Solfefnir does, it allows you to pitch a Crystron card to summon himself and then destroy one face-up card or one card on the field, and then when he is destroyed, he can summon a Crystron monster from the deck. So he's a definite 3-of. He is like when they got this guy in the Raging Tempest, I believe, right? Yep, Raging Tempest. It was like highly needed. Moving on, we play 3 Smyger. Smyger here is really good. Not much more to say. This guy, when you Crystrons all share the same effect, that if you destroy, like they can destroy themselves to special summon a tuner from the deck. So Smyger has a different ability though. You can banish him to add a Crystron spell and trap. Goodness, guys, I can't speak this morning. There's only one good trap at the moment, and that's Impact when we do play that. But 3 Smyger. And then, of course, we play 3 Thryswerven. Thryswerven here is really important because he's like your road of the entire deck. When you banish him, you can add any Crystron monster from your deck to your hand, which is pretty, like the ability to dump this with like Recycler, dump it with Undying, allows us to get Solfefnir immediately to the hand, which is really important. Continuing on, we are playing 2 Turtle. Turtle is really important. Wow, they're all really important. Gosh, guys. It's good when you notice your own like repetition of the similar words. Parsa Turtle is good because it allows us to make Quandax here with Citri. And that's about it. It does have the ability to banish itself to special one from hand. So in the form of it is an extender, which is really important. Again, just allows this Crystron to kind of get more of aggressive plays, kind of. We don't really flood the board that often. This deck is very much a control deck, and what I mean by that is we are trying to go out for, in this build right now, this isn't like 3 stacks Crystron where it's like turbo into Waterfront and Gamma Seal. I already have a deck that does that 10 times better. This deck right here, what it does do is the ability to control and make trades. So like in this deck here, like we're trying to make equal trades, or like we're trying to make 1-from-1s or 2-from-1s. We're not trying to neg on trades. So like me synchro summoning into a monster with Starlight Junction removes a monster for me, so that's an equal trade. I summon, I remove, and sometimes the monster gets the effect. So anyway, for the final Crystron, like normal monster we're playing is 1 Rosenix. This card just produces a token. It's intricate for the Undying combo. Yeah, not much more to say here. This card has just pretty much been staple in water decks because it produces the token. Not really. Let's see here. Let me fix these up here. Struggling here, guys. Been working some long hours at work, so that's why I'm kind of... So this is it for the normal Crystron monsters, the non-tuners. Not much really. So Fafnir is just really important. I just really cannot stress this enough, guys. I've actually thought about playing Quick Draw Synchron as another discard outlet to potentially discard like Theswerven to get to Solfafnir for another discard. But I haven't got around to doing that. I've tested a little bit online just because like you can make Cyber Dragon Infinity, but like at the end of the day, is that really what like you want to do is produce one Cyber Dragon Infinity? But moving on, we have the tuners of the deck. We have 3 Citri. Citri here is really, really good. As you guys thought I was going to say important, didn't you? Ha, gotcha. Citri, she is like your special summon from the graveyard to synchro on your opponent's turn. All the Crystron tuners have that ability to pretty much synchro during your opponent's turn as a quick effect. Citri just grabs from the graveyard, then banish the materials, and her gets banished, which sets up some very cool plays to do with Crystron Impact. Moving up, finally for the last 2 tuners we play is 2 Rion. Rion grabs from the banished. They're like, if you guys have checked out our combo video, there's pretty cool combos where you can essentially set up like a, I believe it's a bounce and a spell and trap negate with Rion and Crystron Helifibrax, but no Quan. You don't really, I have not really, like I have a Quan, I've tested with Quan, I have not seen the need to use Quan. That very seldom comes up. However, I've thought about playing him just because Helifibrax here can grab him straight from the deck. So it does allow us to set up those plays because we need to have, sometimes you might need to have access, or sometimes like just due to the fact of like you open a bad hand, or your hand, like I said, Crystrons don't extend very well. So by having like Quan in hand and like Helifibrax able to tag out, like you could use Quan to summon the Rosenix, synchro for 5, then the Helifibrax tags into Quandax, and then you can synchro for Crystron Phoenix if you want to. But only 5 tuners, that's all we play. Not much to be said really, except for they're very powerful. The fact that they're quick effects is really important, and just really allows us to disrupt our opponent's plays. However, like there are certain combos in which you can do where you can set up carry on Quandax, but without like Starlight Junction. And Starlight Junction is really needed in the deck, I believe. It's another form of interruption and spot removal that the deck really wants to pursue and allows us to control the board and stuff like that. But moving on to extra engines. We play 3 Undyne, and then 1 controller. The best normal summon in the deck, I believe, is Undyne, just because it's it's remarkable. It just sets up so much stuff. Controller being another tuner is actually pretty important too, just because it just allows us to have access to it. A normal summonable monster like we can normal summon and immediately synchro comes up pretty handy sometimes. But right now, Gen X Undyne is just here to send Rosenix to pretty much combo off and do that Helifibrax play. But however, do note that even though the main target is Rosenix, Undyne can send anything. Undyne, I think, can even send Solfafnir. And then you can just combo off that way. However, I have found never really truly sending Solfafnir. I've always sent this Swerven to banish it to either search for Solfafnir, because like you want to get that Crystron in cycle, so then your impacts are immediately live right away. But moving on, we play 3 Scrap Recycler, and then of course right here would be where we have the Scrap Golem. But sadly, I am not going to pay $8 for a rare. We'll just wait for the super to come out. But anyway, Scrap Recycler is another dumping outlet from the deck, as you guys know from Orcus days, the PTSD that we received from Scrap Orcus. This card just dumps any machine monster, which all of Crystrons are machines, which is again very integral to our play strategy, is to get the machines to the graveyard, and that's where this plus Golem comes in, because essentially we get 2 dumps with this, so we can dump Smyger and then dump this Swerven, and then get 2 searches, which is while turning the impact live while doing it all, which is really, really good. And then of course Golem just allows us to do that combo essentially. If you guys are moving on here, we play 3 Ash. It's the only hand trap we're playing. It's a tuner. There is some sort of like chinky way you can pretty much bring out Helifibrax, summon this, and then you have the ability to get this some way back in hand, but I've not like explored that avenue whatsoever. But do take note, if you do need to make a quick Link 3 and you've used all 3 your Crystron tuners, Ash Blossom is a tuner you can summon out. But coincidentally, we don't play any Link 3s in this build, so we'll be okay. But yep, not much more to say about the Ash Blossom. So that's a big stack of monsters, as you guys can see. But we'll just go ahead and move on to the spells. The spells 3, Starlight Junction. well, excuse me, 2 Starlight Junction and 1 Terraforming. Starlight Junction is really good in the deck because it allows us to have that interaction during our opponent's turn. So it's an additional stack on top of what we're trying to do. Fibrax, when he tags out, he counts as a synchro summon. So if Starlight Junction's up and all we're able to do is make Fibrax, we at least at the bare bones minimum have the ability to shuffle 1 card back thanks to Fibrax. And that's really what it's in here for. It's an extra form of disruption that allows us to pretty much make like cards that only have like hands that only produce like 2 interruptions. This card makes it 3, which is really, really powerful and allows us to make like non-targeting trades. However, do take note that if you synchroed in your opponent's turn without them having anything on their board, this card must shuffle something back, so you will have to shuffle back your own card. But that is a good way to also dodge card effects. If they're trying to do something and destroy your board, you can shuffle your own card back to save it for later if you need to. I wish this card came in a higher rarity. I do like Starlight Junction. I might actually bump it up to 3 and play 3 of it and 1 Terraforming. However, like I said, like the list's pretty tight. Like I said, we're sitting at 39 cards, adding in the Golem, so I don't know what I would cut for it. I might have to cut down on some of the smaller Crystrons. However, also, I guess while I have it here, if you guys will do notice, like along with Undyne and Scrap Recycler, we're not playing Math Man, because even with Undyne and Scrap Recycler, there'll be hands where you open 2 normal summons and you don't really want to open multiple normal summons because you only get 1 normal summon per turn. So that's why we're not playing Mathematician. Of course, there were a combo vest deck. We really need our Solfefnir and our, sometimes worst case, our little guys to resolve and just summoning from the deck. So Call By the Graves there to at least meet any hand trap that is not infinite impermanence. So again, Call Bys. I'm too much. I know some decks are not even playing Call Bys because they're just like, we don't need it. But I'm a chicken. I fear hand traps. I hate getting stopped by 1 single hand trap. So I will always play Call By in my decks if I need to. Moving on, 2 more Ray of Greed. Sometimes, guys, like we really need to see Scrap Recycler, or we really need to see Undyne, or Solfefnir because it's a discard outlet. But sometimes we'll only see like this lot here, and we really need to not see that lot there. So Moray of Greed just allows us to correct our hand. I know some people are iffy on this card. I know that it's played to Mermaid Atlanteans, which is, people are like, it's not an essential plus, it's just a recorrection. It's pretty much a magical mallet for water monsters, and that's essentially what I want it to be in this deck. I don't want to draw more cards. I want to get the right cards to my hand. Drawing cards is nice, but this deck plows through its resources, especially when you're banishing like this Wervin and Smyger and stuff like that. So Moray of Greed just allows us to correct the hands when we don't see our appropriate starters. So it's pretty nice. And it's not once per turn, so if you do, like, you happen to see your starters and, like, draw into more dead cards, you can just use the second one. For the final one Foolish Burial, again, it's a 6 copy of Undyne and a Scrap Recycler. Just allows us to dump anything we really need to truly get there. Moving on for the final 3 cards of the deck, 3 Crystron Impact. This card's really good. This card just allows us to special summon from our banished, and then we can banish this card, not the turn it was sent, to protect our Crystrons from being targeted by card effects. So it's really powerful. Like, this is like, if you guys are watching my Crystron combo videos, and if you haven't, please go ahead and check them out. You're always pretty much getting this card in cycle and getting it set up with Smyger, so that during your opponent's turn you can carry on Chrondrax, which, like I said, like, carry on Chrondrax is in itself it's like 1 interaction, but the fact that it removes 3 cards simultaneously from field or grave makes it almost like 3 interactions in itself, especially with so many decks out there that are being played. A good example, guys, like this is, if you guys want to check this out, I've been playing testing a lot. I've been getting smacked by Eldritch and Emancipators. I'm getting better with the Emancipator matchup because I'm starting to learn better what they do and like their particular combos and stuff like that. But of course, in like the decks that I play, if I go first, I'm pretty well solid. I can pretty much beat them. But however, it's going second against them that I struggle with, or sometimes like even in like my mediocre boards and some like my Gladiator Beast or my Crusadius in my mediocre boards, not negating the right thing has left me pretty distraught. But the only deck I've not got waxed by playing, the only deck that's not got waxed by has been the Crystron deck, because Crystron Phoenix and Crystron Carry on Quandrax just has such great interactions between those 2 meta decks. So for all my rogue players out there, like Crusaders who decide to take Crystrons and go and play, please remember that we do have a very good matchup against these decks because of just the ability to rip the Block Dragon, rip the Recycler, rip these cards from the graveyard and the field before they can commit or Synchro Summon, or removing the Rock Monster from the field so they can't like special off is really good. And need I say more about the Crystron Phoenix? You banish all their spell and traps that they don't even get to recur them during the end phase. So that's it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and jump onto the extra deck. Like I said, this is a 14 card extra. The 15th card will be Scrap Wyvern. And there are some things that are going to change too. Like I did, some of my commenters told me to put in Shooting Star Dragon, and I do, or Riser Star Dragon. Whatever it is, I'm going to invest in one and put one in. But until then, this is the current extra deck that I'm playing with. 2 Crystron Halifyrex. You could arguably get away with 1 because Impact brings it back. But however, like you want Impact to bring back another card, so 2 is really good. Because of this, you're going to be able to make this. And sometimes, guys, like, you're not always going... You got to remember, and this is something with me trying to learn and play the deck, because I am not a master at this deck by any means, is that Halifyrex is an immediate Quandrax. So, like, when you get Citri and, like, any Crystron or, like, Citri and Scrap Recycler out, sometimes you leave those there so you can make carry on Quandrax. Well, that is very incorrect. I do believe that you should just go ahead and make Halifyrex, because Halifyrex not only gives you the Quandax that you're trying to go for anyway, but also gives you the level 3 tuner out of the deck, which then you got to remember is Rion, which then gives you a FA Don Dragster, and then you have the ability to synchro for a 9, thankfully, to the Don Dragster. But 2 Halifyrex, really important. If you guys don't know what this card does, you've been living under a rock, I'll do a quick overview with it. It is a Crystron card, believe it or not. It also just allows us to, it takes a tuner and non-tuner. We have the ability to summon a tuner from the deck, and during your opponent's turn, quick effect, we can tag that banish this card to summon a synchro tuner from our extra deck. So it's really good. Continuing on the links, 1 Link Spider. Of course, right here would be not Clock Wyvern, Scrap Wyvern. But sadly, like I said, like I've told you guys, I'm waiting a little bit. But right now, 1 Link Spider. It's just here so that we can link climb into. Not really link climb, it's part of the Undying combo. It's just essentially we link climb into Halifyrex with that type of combo, so pretty good. That's it for the 3 links that we play. Outside, this is like all we really need. Our more powerful monsters are our synchro monsters, and the extra deck space is pretty tight, so do keep that in mind when you're playing this deck. Moving on to our synchro monsters, we play 2 Quandax. I've decided to cut down to 2 because essentially we get immediate access with it due to Halifyrex. But not gonna lie, it's like one of those cards, like I feel like in some games and some grind games I've played, even against Eldritch, I've missed one, just because like you'll have just in the grind game, you won't be able to, like, you'll be through your Halifyraxes over here, and you'll need to make Citri, and you've gone through these 2 already. You have Citri with a turtle in graveyard and a setup a Starlight Junction, and you want to shuffle back that Lord, but you can't do it because you've already played through your 2 Quandaxes. So I do keep that in mind. Quandax is really good. It's essentially what allows us to synchro during our opponent's turn. But also, guys, do take note. This is something I should have covered early in the video. When you use, except for Sulfefnir, when you use any of these guys as effects to destroy themselves, you lock yourself into machine synchros for the rest of the turn. And that's what the synchro tuners here do. They restrict you to only summoning a machine synchro, like Citri and Rion here. When you use their effect, you can only summon a machine. Quandax here, excuse me. Quandax does not have that restriction. Quandax just allows you, during your opponent's turn, you can synchro summon any monster you want. So, moving on, we do play 1 Emistrix. I am still playing 1 because it is a Crystron monster and it does float. However, I do think I might trade this out for Chambara just because it's the same level, it's a machine, and Chambara does come back during the standby phase to allow us to push for excess damage, because that's what this deck really struggles with doing, is pushing for damage. Moving on, we do play 1 Phoenix and then 1 Kyrian Quandrax. These guys right here pretty much are your Mad Emancipator and Eldritch Killers. Just have the ability to wait for them to commit high enough to put in that Block Dragon on the field or in the graveyard. You smack down Quandrax, and Quandrax just goes whoop and banishes them all before your opponent can summon them. And then Phoenix here, excuse me guys, Phoenix is just remarkable because Eldritch sets all those cards during their main phase 2, synchro summon the Phoenix, banishing everything. And believe it or not, the Lord, I believe, is 25 or 28, I believe. I can't remember. I think he's 25. So Crystron Phoenix is big enough to crash into him or crash over him. And then if he's 28 too, guys, like Crystron Phoenix floats. So they're really good. Like, these are like such good meta calls for this current format in the online meta, which is of course Emancipators and Eldritch running around. So that's it for the Crystron Synchros. This Quandrax is one of your main targets you usually tag into with the Halifyrex. However, we do play another target, which is coming up shortly. But we also play FA Don Dragster. Empowered Exactron. These are your synchro targets for Rion, pretty much. This it's like so good to like summon this with Rion, then you have like Halifibrax, and then you negate something with Halifibrax, or you negate something with the Dragster. Halifibrax tags into Quandax, and then this right here is level 9, so then you can synchro for Crystron Phoenix immediately. A little good way to counter back row decks, I guess. And Zektron is just at level 6. It just pretty much allows us to summon out and then wall up. It's like I said, this is a grindy control deck. That's pretty much what we're trying to do. And like if we can't make an equal trade, we need to at least make sure they can't get rid of anything we have. So Powered Zektron just kind of pops out and says, hi, you're not moving me for this turn. And then if you have the ability to move me, you have to commit, like you have to give up something in return for it. So moving on, Moonlight Rose and Cyframe Lord Omega, Coral Dragon, and then last but not least our other target for Halifibrax is a Cell Synchron. Moonlight Dragon is just another form of disruption because like any level 4 or any level 3, which we play a lot of level 3s if you guys don't know, Smyger and Thiswervin are level 3s, but they're also going to be the ones that are most banished that we can bring back with Impact there. But Moonlight, we pretty much just have the ability to tag out Halifibrax into Quandax, and then any level 3 allows us to make Moonlight, which bounces a card. So like this in conjunction with the Dragster, Halifibrax, like Undyne, and Starlight Junction, this is like 3 interruptions during your opponent's turn that you can make equal trades for. So it's just really good. And it's whenever it's special summon or whenever a level 5 or higher monster special summon. So if you set this up during your opponent's like main phase before they commit an Eldritch and they summon out a monster, and you have the ability to bounce this monster back because a level 5 or higher monster was summoned. And that's, if you guys don't know, Eldritch needs the Golden Lord on the field to play. And also with Emancipators, please remember that as soon as they summon out their Savage Dragon effect activates, you can bounce it back. Same with their Emancipate Risen, same with, you know, like all their Block Dragon, you bounce it back. Given though Block Dragon's not once per turn, so I highly recommend not bouncing back the Block Dragon, but sometimes you got to. But that's enough on Moonlight Rose. A Cell Synchron is just another quick tuner you can synchro into that allows you to synchro on your opponent's turn. Another good disruption. Pretty much this is just in here to go for Cyframe Lord Omega, which is just another form of disruption, which is not too bad. Ripping a card out of your opponent's hands, never awful, because if you're very lucky, you can rip the right thing. But a Cell Synchron is just in here for that reason. It also just can, like if you play other Synchrons, it can manipulate its level, but sadly that's all we play is the Cell Synchron. He just, like I said, he's another target for Halifibrax, and he just allows us to make a Synchro 8. Coral Dragon. Coral Dragon's in here for the Undying combo. Like I said, that card is really good. It's just phenomenal. But anyway, essentially the combo, if you guys have not seen the combo video, is you use this to make, you use like the token to make Link Spider, summon the controller from your hand, Synchro Undyne in the controller into Coral Dragon, then you link Coral Dragon because it's a tuner, and the Link Spider into Halifibrax, successfully chain blocking out your Halifibrax and getting a draw. And then of course we're going second, it is the ability to destroy a card, so do keep that in mind. It's another way to pop something, which this deck totally lacks in doing. Cyframe Lord Omega, it's just in here for the quick synchro with essentially Quandax and Rosenix if that interaction ever comes up. But most importantly, it's in here for the interaction with a Cell Synchron with any level 3s to get out this, so then we can banish and start a current resources. And the only reason we choose this over like say like Draco Berserker or anything like that is because this right here, when it's destroyed, recurs your banished, puts it back to the graveyard for future use. Not when it's destroyed, just once during the standby phase, you can put a banish back, which allows us to pretty much banish again to get certain effects. So, all right, guys, that is it for the profile. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And please remember, if you guys want to and you have the ability to, become a member and join the Crusade. I look forward to it. This is Charles from Team COG signing out. Please remember to put any comments or concerns down there below. So, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.